as humans and as pack animals, we make snap judgments by what we
Yeah.
see.
Yes.
So we've made a judgment as somebody walks in the room, not a conscious one. And I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know what I don't know. No one, everyone's going to think I failed and blah, blah, blah. And all those stories we tell ourselves. But
Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the show today. Let's start off just by learning a little bit more about you. Do you want to tell me about your background? Give me some context. What do I need to know about you?
hi, Matt. Thank you so much for the chat today. So, yes, I'm Sarah Gray, and I am an award-winning style coach. And I live in Leamington Spa in Warwickshire, so right slap bang in the middle of the country. Um, what do you need to know about me? Well, the work I do is all around women's confidence, of course, but what you need to know is that I'm not naturally a confident person. So it's something that stems right the way back from being very young. I had a top to toe severe skin condition. I was the one who wanted to hide away. And so I spent, my whole childhood, right up until I was in my, late 20s. When I was 30, I got rid of it. And then life sort of began for me, if you like. Um, it is one of the things that I haven't really shared over a lot of my styling career, but I do share quite a bit now because it's something that women can relate to in terms of their identity. And it's all about, for me, it's about our identity and who we are on the inside, being able to shine on the outside, which I didn't allow myself to do for so many years.
Mm.
So yeah, I work with women who are often introverts, like myself, who just need to be the face of their business, but are just scared to do it and don't know how. So that's
Yeah,
a little bit
I guess
about me.
the confidence to show up as yourself, because we often see these big personalities out there, don't we, and things like
Mhm.
that, and then that makes us almost feel, well, I'm not like that, so therefore I can't do it. But then you try to maybe try and be a bit like that, but it's uncomfortable and it doesn't make you feel good, and then it makes you almost feel worse about yourself. So I guess it's confidence in yourself as you are. Is that?
100%. It's that old, it's not even an old saying, but that saying at the moment where, don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10.
Mm,
And that has stuck with me for many years. And it's something that, we're bombarded, aren't we? Especially with the social media and the TV and
mm,
everything. We're bombarded by all these so-called extrovert personalities. And we think that to be successful or to be visible, we have to be that. And of course, we don't, because if we're not naturally that, it's never authentic. And it feels, like
right.
you say, ridiculously uncomfortable. It feels like, oh my goodness, I can't maintain this. So we just have to learn to be ourselves, and that then the passion of whatever we do and all of that can shine through. So yeah, it's about digging deep
Yeah.
sometimes to find out
Yeah.
who we are, and just being really comfortable with letting that person come through.
Yeah, I mean, I guess discovering who you are is one part, and then almost undoing some of those learnt behaviours. Certainly, I'm in my 40s now, and there's certainly I've realised that there's probably I spent years hiding away certain things that actually
Mm.
now I want to sort of show a little bit more. But even that then feels tricky because, as you know, certainly, 20, 30 years ago, you sort of hid away those sort of vulnerabilities or anything like that. And you're not brought up, but you learn, actually, if I mask that and do it like this, then I get this response from people. So therefore that's how we think we should respond. So do you see
Yeah,
that in some of your clients?
I do. Yeah, in myself and in clients. And I think that we being able to unpick that or discover what those are is huge. And unless we discover them, we almost can't make that leap forward to be that lovely face of our business that we really want to be, because there's always something going to be holding us back. And it's different for for everybody as to what the root causes or the root reasons are. But yeah, absolutely. When we're ready, like, so a lot of clients will say to me, oh, I should have had a session with you years ago. And I'm like,
Mm.
no, you do it when you're ready. And I really
Yeah.
strongly believe that, because we're not always ready to dig deep and find out what's lurking, you know. So as well, I'm a style coach first and foremost, but as part of that, I'm a qualified transformational coach, and so I use some of those skills to really help my ladies. Mainly work with ladies, and
Mm.
I help them to, in a gentle way, just really dig deeper and find out what they're holding on to that they maybe didn't realize. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
the
and
result is fabulous, watching them fly from there.
yeah, just having confidence in yourself, regardless of what that looks like. I
Yeah,
think, and understanding yourself and being, I suppose, content with yourself. I've spoken quite a lot on this podcast about people searching for happiness, and we sort of think when we get that next thing, I'll be happy. And when I do
yeah,
that, it's like if you're not really happy with yourself and what you've got now, you're possibly not going to be happier as you get these new things. You first of all got to understand yourself, and then you can highlight it, which I guess is what some of the styling does. You're highlighting people's features and etc. by using the colors and things like that look good but make people feel good, because we do, don't we? This I mean, certainly as a man, I put on a nice suit, suddenly certainly if it's black, feel a bit James Bondy,
yeah.
and suddenly you're like, oh yeah, it's slightly different to from wearing an old pair of joggers, so clothes can make you feel different in yourself as well.
Oh, 100%. And it's twofold. So it's about what goes on in here first,
Yeah.
and that level of confidence, and that I finding your identity, and then how do you want to, who are you, and which bits do you want people to know about? Because
Mm.
we don't have to tell everybody everything, obviously, but
No.
just knowing who you are and how you want to show up. And the clothes are the icing on the cake for me. So they are super important. We can absolutely feel incredible in clothes that are authentically us. And it, I was at an event last week, and three ladies who I've worked with came up to me, and they just said, I never would have worn this before, but I feel so like me. It's amazing. And you could see their whole posture had changed, and it was just they are so powerful. They really can make a huge difference to how we feel, and how we perform, even because we feel so good, and we're not worrying about, oh, is this shirt done up right, or we're not uncomfortable in any way. So
No. Ah,
yeah,
yeah, and something just sprung into my head, and I
yeah.
want to ask you this question. Like school uniform, what's your thought on that? Because there is lots of things that is that a good thing because actually everyone's wearing the same, or should there be some individuality in there? What's your thought on schools and school uniform at the moment?
Oh, how long have you got? Um, oh, see, I have a traditional head sometimes, and I think I love the school uniform for the reasons that you've said. There's no arguments in the mornings. It's like that's what you've got to wear. Off you go.
Yeah.
My boys, our boys are of secondary school age, and so they both have to wear a uniform. But it is trousers, blazer, shirt, a tie, but it's a clip-on one. Um, and I just don't think that's practical in this day and age. They're cycling to school, they're outdoors during breaks. I just think a blazer, okay, it's nice if you're going to go into the world of work that requires that, but practicality, I don't think is great anymore. But I'm so into having a little bit of individuality that yeah, I'm like, I do it with, if I work with school kids, I'm doing it with the bag they carry, or
Yes.
the coat they wear, or there's little ways we can do it. But I don't generally work with school children. But when I talk, if I do a talk in a school or something, but um, there are ways we can bring it in exactly the same way we can in the workplace if there's a strict dress code in the workplace, which we're seeing less and less of now, but
Mm.
we see it. I do still see it. For example, a client is part-time judge, and so we can't break the court rules of the court,
No.
obviously, but we do it through the ring she wears and the briefcase she carries. There are little ways we can bring
Mm.
in the personality, but yeah,
Yeah,
I do agree it's about school uniforms to an extent, but I think there needs to be a bit of an overhaul. Um,
yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting discussion. It just suddenly came to my mind because yeah, I've
yeah,
got kids at school and things like that, and yeah, they have a school uniform. There are some, I guess, subtle bits that I've got two young girls. One of them prefers the skirt, one of them prefers like a dress. You know, but
yeah,
they and they're still primary, so they wear like a cardigan or a jumper
yeah,
rather than suit. But as you know, one of them sort of year six going into year seven, and the
yeah,
school she goes to will quite likely be a blazer
mm,
and things like that. So and it is that tricky one because I like the fact that if everyone's the same, there's no sort of picking on based on what you're wearing and things like
sure.
that. But it potentially doesn't allow someone to add a little bit of personality. I love that idea of the bag. I guess if someone wears glasses, you can start to style those
Yeah,
around. You know,
some schools will be more receptive of various hairstyles, some won't, it depends on the school, I guess, but yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult as a teenager to and younger to you're still finding who you are. It's the whole journey to go
mm,
to. I mean, we're still doing it. I'm 50 and we're still doing it. So, there's this whole journey we go through in life. But yeah, I mean, my boys are very different. One is absolutely, oh, that's my blazer, that's my school uniform, fine, I'll stick it on. I won't tuck my shirt in. The other one is, oh, how can I make it different? And
yeah.
he's like, so, they. I guess he's got a bit of that creativity from me, but
Yeah, I mean that is really interesting. Just the way we wear clothes, what we feel comfortable in, and I guess we commented on it, didn't we? That how you look or how you feel you look can really affect your confidence, and I guess just how you feel about yourself in a room. You said about an award ceremony and things like that, and certainly if you go networking or
yeah,
anything like, you want to feel like you fit it, but
yeah,
I don't mean blend in with everyone. I just mean feel at a level where you're, entitled to be there. I've had that before. I had that conversation with people that have gone to these events and that, oh no, everyone's running much bigger businesses than me. They're smashing it. Yeah, I don't feel like that person. It's
yeah.
like, well, hang on, you're in the room, so clearly you are. But I guess getting that confidence to feel like they deserve to be in that position.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of self-belief that has to come into play. But also, even when you have sort of nailing that, I think it's a bit of a roller coaster ride, the whole self-belief ride, isn't it? But um, even when you're nailing that, you want to show up in that room feeling like you fit but are not a clone. Um,
Mm,
fit but there's no should. So I speak to a lot of people who'll say, "Oh, I wore this because I felt that's what people should wear to networking." Well, one, what sort of networking do you do? I mean, I network in a lot of female groups, and it's very different to a mixed group, and
mm.
and probably different again to an all male group, which of course I wouldn't know about. But it it's finding that level of comfort in terms of who you are, and walking into the room being and knowing that you are, you are supposed to be there.
Yeah, because I guess if you've got that little bit of imposter syndrome anyway, which we all suffer with at times, or just even just feeling a bit down about things, and then you walk in and you don't feel, dressed suitably, I
Yeah.
guess. But that's a funny saying as well, and it dressed suitably. Well,
Yeah.
suitably for who?
For
For the
who? Yeah.
environment you're in, or for you?
Yeah.
You know, because actually I don't feel overly comfortable in a full suit with a tie and things like that. If I did that at all these networking events, yes, I might fit in with some of the financial services and things like, but actually I'm not fitting in with how I feel
It's not
myself.
authentic to you. No,
No.
exactly. Exactly. And I think what is amazing about being in a room these days, certainly from my experience, and it's possibly just because of the type of networking I do, but I can look around the room and not, I wouldn't say anything goes. Obviously, that we're business women, but it is very much, I say to my clients, look, when you don't overthink it, because when you get there, you'll be like, oh yeah, why was I worried?
Yeah.
So it really is about just being confident in you and holding your head high. Um, because then you're already, when you're confident in what you're wearing, already you're holding yourself differently, you're speaking with more confidence, and it becomes, what we wear becomes a business tool, if you like. It becomes
Yeah.
something that you it just is another little check of the list before you go out to a network. Have I got my business cards? Am I wearing something that I'm feeling great in? And it just is, we can use it to our advantage. So, all the time.
Yeah, I guess I saw a great quote a few weeks ago. Yeah, professionalism is in the work that you deliver, not in how you look, and that's so true. And since sort of COVID times, yeah, I've had meetings with people, and they've gone, "Oh, sorry, I'm still in my gym clothes because I've just got back from the gym." I'm like, That's fine." We're meeting online, but in the past, almost no one would have done that. They would have made sure they were changed and suitably, in inverted
Yeah.
commas, dressed for this meeting. When in fact, what we were talking about, it didn't matter that they were still in some gym clothes.
Yeah, I think there's sort of, I have two sort of, I do agree with you. I have another viewpoint as well that is kind of, as humans and as pack animals, we make snap judgments by what we
Yeah.
see.
Yes.
So we've made a judgment as somebody walks in the room, not a conscious one. Back in the day when we had to assess whether we were in our cave and it was safe to go out, we could only do it by sound and by visuals.
Mm.
So we're doing this whole, right, is it safe out there? Is it, can I, is that person I'm about to meet, or they're about to talk to me, are they trustworthy? Are they dangerous? And all that. And we do that through something that's just so deeply embedded in us,
Mm.
rightly or wrongly. We can't change that. So if you're wanting to make an amazing first impression, we do need to give it some thought what we wear. Once
Yeah.
you've built a relationship with someone, turning up with your gym clothes on, it's like, we accept so much more of that now, and
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
great. Absolutely. It's that first impression, or if you're trying to, if you're going for a promotion, or it's
Mm.
dress in the job you want, not the one you're in.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah,
a sort
no,
of
100%, and I will still, if I'm going to a meeting, and certainly if it's someone I've met for the first time, I will I say more of an effort. I make an effort, but more than I would if I've got a relationship with them, I've known them
yeah,
for 10 years, we've been out to the pub together or to football together, then I can meet them in a more casual environment. But you're right, we form those impressions very, very quickly,
yeah,
and like I say, almost subconscious.
definitely.
We
Yeah,
can just
yeah.
look at, just tell, you almost feel that that really or smartly dressed person is the person in authority, so you because that's what it was like at school as
Yeah,
kids,
true, yeah.
so whether it's partly in that, and yes, I guess making that first impression can be particularly important.
But on the flip side to that, if you wanted your garden landscaped and your landscape gardener turned up in a suit, you'd be like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
it
not that
wouldn't
we have to
match,
be
would it? I feel
smarter.
like it's a
Just
salesperson and they're
yeah,
gonna trying to sell me something I
exactly.
don't need, where if they're a little
Exactly.
bit
So it's
look like they could work in the garden, that's what I want.
yeah, it's about being appropriate for the environment, for, all the things that you're walking into. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, how did you get into this? Tell me a little bit of the journey of how you just discovered becoming a stylist.
Well, it goes back I'm about to celebrate, well, early next year I'll celebrate 19 years. And I did nothing about style before that except my own. But my sisters will tell you that I've been styling people forever, and that whenever there was a family event or something we were all going to, they'd all come to me for advice. And basically, I was moving house up to the Midlands, giving up work. It was the first time I'd ever not worked since I was 13. It was scary. I was coming to live with my now husband, and my older sister said, "You should do the style thing." And I looked at her and like she was off another planet. I said, "Don't be ridiculous." And she gave me her perception of me, which was a million miles away from my perception of myself. And I spoke to my younger sister and said, "Oh, guess what she said?" She went, "Well, yeah. Don't you remember in school when you were in the sixth form and everyone copied you?" No, that to me, that was not how it was at all. So, they just planted this little seed, and I said to my husband, well, now husband, at the time, "Oh, they think I should do this." "I don't really know." And he just sort of looked at me as if I was off another planet as well, thinking, "What on earth is that?" You know? But fully supportive. So that was it. That was nearly 19 years ago, and, um, I think the industry's evolved so much in that time. Who I work with has evolved in that time. I've evolved in that time. The ups and downs of running a business, starting a family, all those things have happened since I started the business. And I think I can definitely say, hand on heart, I enjoy it the most right now. I think I've sort of grown into it more, if you like.
Yeah. I mean, you said about the ups and downs of running it and obviously starting a family and all things like that, because I think we see the success, the chapter 10 or
Yeah.
whatever it is all these years in. But I mean, tell me about that. What did you learn on that journey that maybe you didn't expect right at the start?
I had this ideal that I was going to get married, have children, be a stay at home mum. Well, that was 4 years into when our first one came along, that was 4 years into starting my business. And I suddenly found myself feeling I don't want to walk away from this business I've started to build. It was really successful at that time, and I thought, I don't want to just walk away. What? Why am I? And I was
Mm,
fighting with this sort of ideal that I'd always had. That that's the lovely, pretty, rosy, situation to be in. And I was like, oh, I don't want that. So I had to take a leap of faith and say, well, okay, I'm only going to work Saturdays. That was at the time what I
okay.
did.
Yeah.
And I thought, no one's going to want to come. Well, they did. So that worked okay. And then, a few years later, we had a second child, and I thought, well, how am I going to do that? How I can't work Saturdays anymore. But gradually, we just kind of, I don't know, we just made it work, and I worked fewer hours, fewer days, um, and just had to, I don't know, had to believe that if I was worth if the value I was offering, people would wait and come when I
Yeah.
was working, and they did, but at the time, you don't believe that they're going to. So yeah, I've guess I've learned that. I've learned that, um, there's no hurry. So I've now at the point where both boys are in secondary, so I've got an extra little bit of time at, both ends of the day,
Mm,
but I still really only work school hours.
okay.
Because I
Yeah.
wanna be here for them. So,
Yeah.
the odd time I'll go out for the day to visit a client because she's not local and all that sort of thing. So, I'm not here all the time, but I mostly am because that's the choice I've wanted to make, and I think when we realise that we can make the choice, that's
Mm.
powerful because we're society wants us to feel guilty no matter what we do. Um,
Yes.
and so that is, yeah, the choice thing was huge, I would say.
Yeah, I
Uh,
guess, yeah, permission to make that choice.
mm,
You've almost
yeah,
got to give yourself permission to do that,
yeah,
because it is. I find running a business, you know, can be incredibly hard, both physically with actually doing the work, but mentally.
yeah,
Understanding what should I do? Like you said, oh, I'll do it Saturday, but no one will want to come. Like and having to tell people, look, I can only work these days, or this hours. You're going to have to wait until next week. Actually, that's quite nerve-wracking at time because we feel like we should, the customer's always right. We should do exactly what they want. And if they say, could you do it today? Oh, yes, of course, I'll just drop everything and do that. But actually that ends up affecting us and
it
we're not,
does.
that's not sustainable.
No, it isn't, and I've learned probably in recent years rather than at the beginning, just through, family circumstances and what have you, is about boundaries because,
Mm,
you know, we think that well, first of all, we think we have to be jack of all trades when we start a business. We've gone from being expert in something in our corporate life, if we were in a corporate life or whatever we did before,
yeah.
to suddenly, yes, we're following our passion, but suddenly we've got to do the whole thing. We haven't got an IT department and a marketing department and an accountancy division and all this stuff. So we have to kind of learn to. I've learned to outsource the stuff I don't like, but also the boundaries around. No, I'm not going to respond to my emails at 11 o'clock at night,
Mm.
or actually, I'm going to do a couple of hours really early in the morning before everyone gets up because that suits me today.
Yeah.
So it's just about being putting the boundaries in and sticking to them, and sticking to them
Yeah.
for the hard bit.
Yes. Yeah, boundaries are there to protect ourselves, and actually, most people do understand that. But I think we've got that fear inside ourselves that, it's all gonna come crashing down if we don't
Yeah,
respond to that email at 11 at night. But actually it won't. But there is certainly something sort of built into us to, I don't know what it is. Maybe that is that tribe thing. You spoke about like the stuff. We want to
yeah,
fit in and things like that. And but generally, most people want to be liked. It's when it's becomes almost like your identity becomes wanting to be likable for other
mm,
people rather than likable for yourself.
yeah, yeah. And I think, I mean, I had a situation, but I think it was 2015, and my husband arrived home one day at ashen. I mean, I didn't know what on earth was wrong with him. It turns out it was acute anxiety, and he was off work for 9 months, and that's a story in itself. But overnight, I had a second little business that I sold clothes that alongside the styling, and
Mm.
I shut that overnight. And I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know what I don't know. I no one's everyone's going to think I failed and blah 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 and all those stories we tell ourselves. But my instinct told me that I can't be present for him unless I get rid of something, and that was the bit I
Yeah.
needed to get rid of. And
Mm.
it was a snap decision, but it was the blooming best one. And so yeah, it those thoughts about what other people think are ever present, I think, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that must have been a challenging time going through it, sort of supporting your husband and working yourself and, how did that affect you, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it was challenging. I think only looking back, you realise how challenging it actually was.
Mm,
I think when you're in it, I went into survival mode, and to me, that meant being completely honest with the kids. They were only little at the time, but being honest with them, um, making sure that my husband had uh, space, time to just be whatever he needed to be,
mm,
and just kind of making sure the household ticked over still, and the kids got to school and all that. Um, and I went into survival mode, as I say, for months and months and months, and it was probably about 2 years later that suddenly I mean, I didn't have a breakdown, but I suddenly was, I can't, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't work, I can't think, I can't,
mm.
just everything, just but it was my body going, "Right, he's okay now. The kids are okay. Now's your time to just step back and heal yourself." Um,
Yeah,
and I did, thankfully, with the help of professionals, but not but which was
yeah,
is important. And so yeah, and I say to everybody, anybody who says, "Oh, my husband's going through this or whatever," yeah, absolutely, you're going to be there for him, but you've got to look after yourself because I didn't that time, and it took a toll on me. Flip forward to 2021, and my husband got seriously ill. Um, not mentally this time, physically, and we had no idea what it was. The doctors didn't know what it was. He's really well now, but at the time, I just had to go, right. Yes, we've all got to pull together, and again, honesty with the kids, and
mm,
everything I did before, but I made sure that I had support. I made sure that, and I told people around me, I wish I didn't do the first time. Um, and so I had a network of people to support me, and um, that was a big difference, huge difference.
yeah. There is that thing that actually your body will eventually,
Mm,
force you to stop. If you don't listen to the early signs or the warning signs and take a bit of time for yourself,
yeah,
actually you will be forced to.
yeah.
But it can be hard to, when you're running a business or you're looking after other people. You feel like that the weight of the world is on your shoulders, don't you? And if you stop, it might come crumbling down. But actually, if you don't stop, it definitely will.
Yeah, exactly right. And I look back and people say to me, or not people, but if you're looking back at sort of income over the last 4 years, well, I had 2 years of rock bottom,
Mm,
but it needed to be that way because I needed to not. I did. The business ticked over, but that's all it did, and
mm,
I needed to be okay with that. And I had to really talk to myself about that's okay. That's not the priority right now. The priority is you lot, your little unit, and all staying as well as we can, and getting James fixed. Like not just allowing the NHS to do their bit,
yeah,
um, and and only now, sort of a year, 2 years on, I'm back on the up again, and that if I hadn't have given myself permission to take my foot off the business gas, I don't think the business would have survived because I'd have burnt out in the end.
yeah, yeah. It's a really, I say, interesting conversation to have, but
Mm.
it's an important conversation to
Oh,
have, because
yeah.
I think we don't hear about this enough. That actually, if you don't have a break, that's when it will start to go wrong. Everyone seems
Yeah.
to think, "Oh, I've got to keep going. I've got to push through." But actually, listen to people who have been through this. You need to take some time for yourself, because otherwise you will just burn out, and actually then that's when your business will massively suffer, and probably to a stage where it's not as easy to recover because
Yeah.
it's completely stopped, rather than because you're out of control of it. Whereas if you scale back a bit yourself, you are in control, and that's
Yeah.
probably one of the most important things, I think, in a business and with yourself, just having a little bit of control, that permission to make decisions or choices.
Yeah, it's interesting you say it like that because I can now look back and see that that's what I was given. I was enabling myself to maintain control. At the time, you don't necessarily feel that's what it is. You feel like, oh, I'm letting it slip away, but it isn't that at all. It's just you're adjusting the priorities, aren't you? And you're
Mm,
I can keep that going if I keep it going at that level. I can come back to it. There's no hurry,
no.
So, and that's been a huge, uh, awful at the time, but my goodness, we all say what a better position we're all in, having gone through all of that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you use now to be able to get clarity, to be able to take a break, to be able to get some thought on what you need to do? Because as you have been talking about making decisions, making choices, but when you're so close to the business, it can be really hard to sort of see anything, see any other ideas or other options, because you're so close to it. What do you say to that? Mhm.
I now have a business coach and I have a mentor and 2 different people because they do 2 different things for me.
Yeah.
Um, and because you're absolutely right, when you're in it, you can't see it.
No.
So, um, and they are absolutely crucial for me now because I am more focused. I'm less, sort of shiny ball syndrome. Oh, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Or, I'm much more focused and I'm much more able to believe that I can achieve the things I want to achieve, um, because I'm doing them. But I also massively listen to my body now. So yesterday I had a whole list of things I needed to do, but I wasn't feeling it. So I thought, right, you're not going to achieve them if you sit down now and do it. So give yourself a break,
Mm.
come back to it the next day, and you'll do them. You'll just get on and do. Obviously, if there are deadlines, I meet those, but
Yeah.
I I I take the pressure off myself now, which
Yes.
is a difficult one to have got to that point. But goodness, am I glad I got there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is that understanding of when actually you should take a break, you can take a break
Yeah.
and come back to something, because trying to push through doing a task that you're not feeling at that time. I mean, it actually demotivates you that you then don't get it done, so you
Yeah,
feel even worse.
exactly.
And of course, as you mentioned there, at times, if you're running a business, you're going to be up against a deadline. There's going to be tasks that have to get done. You have
Yeah,
to get them done. But equally, that's not doesn't need to be like that 100% of the time. You can, give yourself permission to take a break, give yourself permission to put a task back on the back burner for tomorrow or whenever it is.
yeah. Being in the
Yeah.
right frame of mind is huge and more productive. Is as you've just said. So I also think that not for me. I always felt as though I need to keep it to myself. I need to not tell people, or I need to not ask for help. Or I was the worst for that. I don't know if that's more a female trait or not, or I don't know, but I just wouldn't ask for help. But I'm just no, I'm ringing whoever, right, can you help me with this? Because actually people want to help and they're
Yeah.
mortified if you don't ask for it. So yeah, I sometimes it's even if it's just, oh, if you got time for a chat, a coffee or whatever, it can just unburden something. Or not that I'm not that I'm whinging and moaning at people, but and expect people to do that the other way. I would want people to reach out if they need me to do something, be somewhere.
Mm.
So really knowing you're not on your own, and I'm not on my own, and I've got a network of people I can call on is actually really important.
Yeah. No, that's such an important takeaway today, that actually reach out to other people, talk to other people. You tend to find most people have experienced something similar. We just, because we don't talk about it
Yeah,
enough, we think it's only affecting us.
yeah,
But actually, we all get these days. We all come up against these challenges. We all
yeah,
have, whether you say it's a mental block, whether you say it's imposter syndrome, whatever it is, we all get those moments where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And but actually talking about it can really help.
yeah, 100%.
So thank you so much for chatting to me today. I think just
You're
to
welcome.
finish off today, what advice would you give to someone wanting to gain a little bit of confidence in themselves? What would be your one tip to finish today?
Listen, well, ask and listen to what others say about you, because that's what got me started on this roller coaster of a business journey. And I was listening to a radio interview this morning, and it was with the comedian John Bishop,
Yeah.
and he went into comedy because one of his colleagues, when they were out one night on a work do, said you should do the comedy. And he's what? And look where that went. And so it's really listening to how others see you,
Mm.
um, because often we don't see that in ourselves, but it's there because they can see it.
Yeah, that's such an important take. So once again, thank you so much for joining me today. It's
Thank
been
you.
absolute pleasure to talk to you, and I wish you all the very best in the future of your business.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Balanced Ambition podcast. I genuinely hope the stories inspire you as much as they inspire me. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with a friend. And remember, by subscribing, you won't miss an episode, and it would truly mean the world to me. Stay balanced, and I'll see you next time.